Hey guys, I'm going to read chapter 17 of Exodus, King James and Message in one video, and I'm just jumping right in as usual. And the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin after their journeys, according to the commandments of the Lord, and pitched in Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink. Wherefore the people did chide with Moses and said, Give us water that we may drink. And Moses said unto them, Why chide with me? Wherefore do ye tempt the Lord? And the people thirsted there for water. And people murmured against Moses and said, Wherefore is that thou hast brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, What shall I do unto these people? They be almost ready to stone me. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go on before the people, and take with thee of the elders of Israel, and thy rod, wherefore with thou smotest the river, take in thy hand, and go. Behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock of Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. And he came and called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because the chiding of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, The Lord is among us or not. Then came Amalek, who fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moses said unto Joshua, Choose us out men, and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill with a rod of God in mine hand. So Joshua did as Moses said to him, and fought with Amalek. And Moses and Aaron and Hur went up to the top of the hill. It came to pass, when Moses held up his hand, and Israel prevailed, and when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon, and Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the one side and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And the Lord said unto Moses, Write this for memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Jehovah-Nissi. For he said, Because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. I'm going right into the message of Exodus chapter 17. Directed by God, the whole company of Israel moved on by stages from the wilderness of Sin. They set camp at Rephidim, and there wasn't a drop of water for the people to drink. The people took Moses to task. Give us water to drink. But Moses says, Why pester me? Why are you testing God? But the people were thirsty for water there. They complained to Moses, Why did you take us from Egypt and drag us out here with our children and animals to die of thirst? Moses cried out in prayer to God, What can I do with these people? Any minute now they'll kill me. God said to Moses, Go on out ahead of the people, taking with you of the elders of Israel. Take the staff you used to strike the Nile, and go. I'm going to be present before you there on the rock of Horeb. You are to strike the rock. Water will gush out of it, and the people will drink. Moses did what he asked. Moses did what he said, with the elders of Israel right there watching. He named the place Massah, testing place, and Meribah, quarreling, because of the quarreling of the Israelites and because of their testing of God when they said, "Is God with us or not?" Amalek came and fought Israel at Rephidim. Moses ordered Joshua, "Select some men for us and go out and fight Amalek. Tomorrow I will take my stand on the top of the hill, holding God's staff." Joshua did what Moses ordered in order to fight Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. It turned out whenever Moses raised his hand, Israel was winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, Amalek was winning. But Moses' hands got tired. So they got a stone and set it up under him. And he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on each side. So his hands remained steady until the sun went down. Joshua defeated Amalek and the army in battle. God said to Moses, "Write this up as a reminder to Joshua, to keep it before him, because I will most certainly wipe the very memory of Amalek off the face of the earth." Moses built an altar and named it God, my banner. He said, "Salute God's rule. God at war with Amalek, always and forever." So this is a very short chapter. They're complaining again. I don't know what else to say. I get it though. They're thirsty and whatever. Like I said, I said it already in several other videos. It's like I get the complaining and stuff, and I even get the whole "is God with us or not?" I get all of that. I understand. Because sometimes it seems like he's not around and like there's suffering going on and you're trying to do everything right and it's just not. You're just watching like people who sin and all this other stuff just get ahead seemingly in this world, and you're suffering. I mentioned this before. Some people are out here living Job lives, and I understand that so well because I've lived a Job life, okay? I can tell you, and I am going to tell you, like some of the craziest, bizarre circumstances I've ever lived, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It just makes absolutely no sense. It's weird. It's creepy. They're psychopaths. There's just like all kinds of weird, crazy stuff, Oh gosh, I'm going to tell you guys so many stories, I promise. But despite the fact, it's a good example. And it's just kind of reminding me of this, because God has done some amazing wonders. And we forget what he's done for us when we're going through hard times, but it doesn't mean that he's not around or he doesn't see it. It doesn't mean that he's not going to make it right or that, he's not in control or that he doesn't care. I even felt like that earlier, just like an hour or two ago, that, I felt a little bit like that he didn't care about certain circumstances I've been waiting a long time for, but I know he knows about it. And as far as I could really be concerned or truly know is he's really a good God. He really is all those things. So there's got to be things shifting around from my life right now that he's working on. Just like this whole process of Abraham up until now and, getting these people to this promise. And some of the promises have come true in increments, It's just the whole process. And I think most of the time the process is for us, not really him, because he knows everything. It's really for us and our growth in some way or another. And that's hard to say when things are really bad and you might be suffering and things are maybe oppressive and abusive, as I said. Like, that can be hard to face, and I am sorry because I understand what that's like. And just wanting it to come to an end and just move on with your life and to better things, things that are a little bit more deserving. Because I won't say that all the things that happens to a person they deserve. Sorry, I'm like, my eye itches, sorry, but still, I'm not saying that everything that happens to you that's bad is deserving, and I'm not even going to say that you deserve the great things in life, because we live in a fallen world, and we're all sinful to some extent, some a lot more than others, but still, we all are in some way. And so I think what I've come to realize is just being more involved with my relationship with God and trying to hang on as much as I can. I think I could do better, honestly, for me. I think that there's still so much more growth. I don't think that ever ends, but I just know consciously that I want to do more in my relationship with God and just being the best type of person that I can be. I'm not ever going to be perfect, but just still actively and consciously working on that just in general. Reading these things helped me realize that stuff. Like the complaining really puts things into perspective as I can understand why they're feeling these ways, because I have felt those ways. I probably might feel them again at some point. It also puts things into perspective where I'm able to see myself and go, wow, very ungrateful at the same time to have the audacity to complain, even if it isn't even right, because God is good and you never know what he's doing behind the scenes, and he's already done so much. Just existing. Just existing is a big deal. Having food, if you have food on the table to eat. Having shelter. Having income, money to take care of yourself and survive during your life. Just the necessities of life. But there is so much more that a human being needs besides just these material things. They need things in here too. And for me personally, a lot of that food for the soul comes from God for me. And for the few people that give me food for the soul in this life, that I would consider just really good, upstanding people, at least in my story, I believe they were sent by God too. So it's all just kind of the source. All good things coming from God when it comes to me. I acknowledge it. And this complaining is helping me keep in mind for the future, maybe to complain less and just be even more grateful, no matter, how small or insignificant or whatever your blessings might seem. I mean, it's a blessing to even exist, to ever have existed, even if it's just a hard existence. And I know that sounds crazy because there's so many circumstances where existing could be torture. Believe me, I have stories for that too that I want to tell you guys. I'm just waiting for God to get this last step over with that I'm waiting for. And it's not the last step in my life, but it's the last step to where I'm able to really fully tell you guys some really interesting testimonies. There's just one thing that needs to happen in order for me to do that. And I'm waiting on him. I've been waiting on him for a while to do that now. And I feel like it's coming soon. I just don't know when. And I am discouraged about it. But just reading this stuff, as I said, reading even this chapter of these people complaining, sometimes it's just in God's timing. You just got to wait and just believe and cling and just keep your hope and your faith in him that he's moving things around. He's getting things ready. No matter what it looks like. Even if it seems like, is God with us or what? He is, okay? The question I think more is, are you with him? Are you going to wait for him to do what he's going to do as God, who knows the best and right way to do things and when? And go with that. So, yeah. I found this story funny. I always think it's funny. I think of it often, actually. The thing with what's his name? Amalek. And he's like, go fight him. They get the men, and Moses holding up the stick. I laugh at this very often because I think it's absolutely hilarious, because I can visualize him standing on a hill, holding it up, and they're fighting down there. And he's getting tired because it's the whole day, this guy's got his arms raised, and he's getting so tired that other, what is it, Aaron and who's the other guy? Who's the other guy that does this? I'm sorry, I'm going to look it up really quick. Aaron and Hur. It's H-U-R. They both come over on one side. They give him a stone to sit on, because he's just, my guy is tired of standing everything. It's an all-day battle, but he's like this. And then the other guys come and they're holding up on each side. To me, it's funny because every time it's lowered, they're losing. But if he raises it up, they're winning. I don't know. It's just a funny image, and it's not meant to be funny or cute or anything, but it's just, I visualize it kind of cartoony. But it's that staff, man. It's God's staff. It's like raising God up, maybe holding up his statutes, going his way, carrying your cross, whatever way you want to look at it. It just seems like God, having God, holding God, going with God, carrying his ways, all these things in some way. That's what's going to get you to win in life and your existence. And, you put that stuff down and you do your own thing. Even if you're tired, it's going to be a losing situation, even if it seems like you've prospered in this world. Nothing in this world is to last, and nothing in this world is going to get you anywhere in the long run. You can't take any of it with you, and we're here for such a short period of time. But I digress. You can say these things a million times to people, and if they're not with God, they don't care. They just scoff at it or go about doing whatever they're going to do. Most people are just straight reprobate, and they'll never get it. Just like Pharaoh, they'll never get it. They'll be their own downfall, their own doom by choice. And I pray for people like that they'll get it before it's too late. Seek the Lord while he can still be found, because there'll be a time when he won't be accessible anymore. And I don't wish that on anybody. That great white throne of judgment, I especially don't wish on anyone, because that is the most nightmarish situation I've ever heard of, ever. I wouldn't wish that on people because I don't have a worst enemy. I don't really have enemies unless they made me their enemy. And even then, they're not an enemy to me. They're just people with issues that I need to get away from. But I've also even those type of people, I don't wish none of that on them. That's crazy. So those are the reasons why I pray, God says love your brothers and sisters, love your neighbor, and pray, for these people that try to curse you and all this stuff. And I just want to do what he says, because first of all, my father said it. Second of all, I can see partially why he says these things is because you're not meant to change your character and become like they are. Let them be those characters if that's what they choose, but it's not meant for you to change and be and do what they do. Just keep being a good person, even if people try to persecute you or abuse you or oppress you because you're trying to do the right thing. Just keep doing it. God will fight for you, and God will judge that whole thing and those people. You're not meant to change. You're meant to be as blameless as you can, as perfect as you can. You're meant to love God and your fellow brothers and sisters with the best that you got, even if you got to do it from a distance and you don't interact with them, and you just pray and hope, that they get it before it's too late. So, I'm sorry, I'm brushing up against this microphone. I'm going to go ahead and let this go, because obviously they won this war. Oh, there's one other thing in here. The rock, hitting the rock. It says here, and this is kind of important. I'm still trying to fully grasp this, because I know what this is, but I'm still trying to fully grasp it in my spirit. But God says to Moses, this is chapter 17, verse 5 and 6. God says to Moses, "Go out ahead of the people, taking with you some of the elders of Israel. Take the staff you used to strike the Nile and go. I'm going to be present before you there on the rock of Horeb. You are to strike the rock. Water will gush out of it and the people will drink." Now that was the Message version. I'm going to go over to the King James version of 5 and 6 of Exodus chapter 17. It says, "And the Lord said unto Moses, Go on before the people, and take with thee of the elders of Israel, and thy rod, wherewith thou smotest the river. Take in thine hand and go. Behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. So God just said, it said the Lord said that he's going to be there before him on this rock that he strikes to get water just spraying out of this rock. That in itself is kind of crazy. What? And then it's just another example of this thing being shown to the children of Israel, that these miracles, really. But what was most significant to me about this was the fact that he said that he will stand before him there upon the rock in Horeb, and then he's going to strike this rock. So he's there. God said he's there. I mean, they might not see him, but he's right there. The rock's here, and he's there on it. He says upon it. He's on it. So he's striking it with this staff of God, while God is technically there. So that's something to keep in mind there, is that God is there upon that rock while he's striking it to get water out, which is typically life. You know, you can go quite a long time without eating. And you can go a long while without eating and drinking, longer than you think, for sure. Longer than what most scientists or Google will tell you. Believe me, I've done it many times. Wouldn't recommend it unless you're really doing this with a lot of training and practice and with God. I would not recommend that for most people. But I'm going back to the water coming from that stone. You can go a long time without eating. But there's a symbolism of water being, of life here. And they're getting life from this rock that God is upon. These are things, just food for thought for you to think about later. All of those things have a symbolism. And I keep mentioning that Jesus Christ is through this whole thing, Yahushua HaMashiach, whatever you want to call him. You know who I'm talking about. He's all through this Bible. He's all through the Old Testament too. Like, it's just not all about New Testament, guys. Like, if you haven't read the Old Testament, you should, because there's so much about the Old Testament that ties into this whole story. It's a whole book from beginning to end of this version of Earth. And so just keep in mind of these symbolisms, this rock, this water, God himself saying that he's upon this rock, hitting the rock with the staff of God, and it producing water for the people, his bride to drink. Okay? There's a lot of that going on in the New Testament. Just to give you some food for thought. It's kind of a little too much to talk about in this one video without going through that. But just keep this in mind, Exodus chapter 17, verse 5 and 6. Because at some point when we do reach the kind of full circle of that, I would like to come back here and discuss it as a whole. But I'm saying this just so that you can notice, because everything in this Bible is significant. And I'm just pointing out things that are standing out to me during this time round that I'm reading. And I would love to know what stands out to you. I'm not going to hold you guys up too much longer, because these are just the things that I've noticed in this chapter. I'm laughing about the holding up the staff thing. It's just funny. It's serious though. They won, but just, I can see it kind of like a cartoon. I don't know. I've talked about this with other people, and we've had a good laugh, just because it's like, oh my gosh, the battle depends on this thing, holding up. Almost like carrying your cross or something, or carrying and clinging to God in some way, or, something. I would love to hear what your thoughts are about it, and I'm not going to hold you guys up. I'm going to wish you a wonderful rest of your day, evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. I'm going to wish you many blessings and protection, hedge of protection in your day, and just, I love you guys, and I'm really grateful for you all who are subscribed, reading along with me, because reading God's Word, it's just one of those things that just can lift your spirits, even if you're having the hardest day. So I pray that you guys have your spirits lifted today in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I pray. Amen and bye.